Online privacy and safety. This is a presentation for students to develop better online browsing and security habits. The presentation was created in 2018 and has been updated a couple of times since then for St Mary's Senior High School's mentor program. The URL for this presentation is available. You're most welcome to share it, and it's best viewed in presentation mode if you don't want to use this YouTube video. So who is it for? Well, this presentation is for anybody who has many online accounts, doesn't really know what their privacy settings are, doesn't really know where to find them. Chances are this video is for you. What's it going to discuss? Well, we'll start by discussing passwords. Anyone who's ever spoken to me knows that I'm a bit of a freak for password security. Setting up a strong password, using two-factor authentication, using password managers. We'll look at data sharing for Google, Facebook and Microsoft. Look at Snapchat's terms of services, because Snapchat's terms of services are pretty ordinary. Reading the terms of service for other applications, for example, the Face app. We're going to try and get you to do your best to restrict access to your personal data and why it's important to you. And a 2020 update, thinking about the Corona Safe app, which has just been released. Why are we doing this? Well, it's quite simple. We have many accounts. We have few passwords, few bad passwords. We overshare, we never read the terms of service. And if a government was to track us, this would be Winston Smith's nightmare. If Google or Facebook or Apple or Microsoft was a government running a country, their population would be greater than that of China and India combined. And if any government was to gather and use so much information against its people like that, this would be a big brother state. It would be the reason why V for Vendetta was created, to rail against the authoritarian state. And with the amount of misinformation going around in the world, we need to get people to think about what's real, what's fake, how can you tell the difference between the two. So I'll put these links in the bottom of the video. Some interesting articles to read about online privacy and safety and why it's important. The middle one, thinkwithgoogle.com, is actually written by Google about Google, and it's not entirely flattering about Google either. So they're well worth a read. They'll be in the links in the bottom, in the notes in the bottom of the video. So let's get started talking about passwords. Now, as I said, most people know that I think a lot about strong passwords, and I want to teach you how to create a strong password. We've learned some really bad habits with our passwords over the last 30 or 40 years. We have one password for many or all of our accounts. We have simple passwords to crack. Our passwords are generally based on us. And realistically, we have to do better. Passwords are the single point of failure in any online security system. We can have the best security in the world, but we set a dreadful password and that security is immediately bypassed. So how do we do it? Here's an old style password. One that I think many of you have used, something like your name and year of birth. So for me, it's Matt72. Yeah, that's how old I am. How long do you reckon, if I put that through a password cracking tool, do you think it would take to crack that? If you said 54 milliseconds, that's right. How long is 54 milliseconds? Done. And that's just a single computer. So it's not a particularly good password to get through. So let's try that again. Matt72, see what I've done there? Capital M, that must make it more complex. Well, yeah, 1 second. So it's still not good enough and we need to do better. Let's try this again. Matthew72. Now this actually passes most password setting protocols. It's more than 8 characters long. It's got uppercase letters, lowercase letters and numbers. So it's got to be a good password, right? Yeah, not really. 4 days. That's for a single computer. Now, if I was to be a hacker and say, I'm going to use a single computer, I'd be a bad hacker. I would probably have a lot of computers. So if I had 4 computers, that 4 days comes down to 1 day. If I had 400 computers, that comes down to about 10 minutes. So let's make things complex. We've been told to make complex passwords. See what I did there? The @ for the A and the 3 for the E. No hackers ever thought of doing that. And 1972. Now this fulfills every password requirement. It's long, it's got uppercase, lowercase numbers and characters. 400 years. That's not bad. But again, when you're using lots of computers that are really powerful, that 400 years drops really quickly. So I think we can do better. Now, this is a comic from XKCD, who makes some fantastically intelligent comics. And it's look at the top right-hand corner, and top left-hand corner, sorry, and it's saying, we'll set a complex password. Really hard for us to remember, not particularly difficult for a computer to crack. Look at the bottom left. 4 common random words. And yet it is far harder to guess for a computer and far easier for a human to remember. Too long, didn't listen. Use a simple passphrase, not a complex password. That's the easy way through it. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to set up a simple passphrase. So, I like music. In fact, my favourite band is the Beatles. And if you didn't know that, well, now you do. So here's a passphrase that I could never forget because I like the Beatles. John, Paul, George, Ringo, the 4 members of the band. So if I was to try and put that through a password cracker, how long do you think it would take? Going once, going twice, 600 million years. That's a long time. Put that in perspective for you. So let's start today and go backwards in time. Let's go back 65 million years to the last of the dinosaurs. That's about 12% of that time. Let's go back 330 million years or so to the beginning of the age of dinosaurs. That's only halfway there. To go back 607 million years, you need to go backwards in time to an unimaginably early age where complex life didn't exist on this planet. That's a good password. We can do better. This time I got John space Paul space George space Ringo. So I've added the spaces. I've added that extra complexity, that extra character. 2 quintillion years. It's about 1 million times longer than our universe has existed. That's pretty good. Better still. This time capital letters and the ampersand. This is an absolute cracker of a password. Octillion years, I have no idea, but basically that's functionally eternity. That is an excellent password that will never get cracked. So, something I can remember, not difficult. Yeah, I can hear it. I don't like the Beatles. So pick a band that you like, or a game series, or an anime, or clothing brands, or books. I like Stephen King. A passphrase of his first 3 books, Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining. I don't know what a dodecillion is, but it's a very long time. Or the first 4 MCU character films, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, and Thor. That tradecillion, that's a long time. Or you could use an address. 24 Cowling Avenue is the address of the school. 3 trillion years, that's still pretty good. The point being that you're not going to forget, and they're really strong passwords. So there's a theory for you on setting a strong password. And the one password I recommend everybody change is their email. The email password that reports back your Facebook, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your phone account, your Apple account, or your Microsoft account if you have one, they all come back to the same email probably. That's the one you want to protect. Right, so most big companies like Microsoft, Amazon, PayPal, etc. use 2-factor authentication. It's a pain in the butt to turn on. It's a pain in the butt to use. Turn it on. The reason being that even if someone guesses your password, they need your phone to validate your account details. And let's face it, if you're watching this video, there's a strong chance that you sleep within arm's reach of your mobile phone. So really, it's not a stretch to say you've got your phone with you at all times. Now, it might be through an SMS or through an authenticator app or whatever. Do it. Quickly, what it looks like. So this is how I set up my 2FA for my Google account. You saw I changed last changed in 2010 and 2FA since 2012. I don't need to change my password. It's one of those really strong passwords. And the 2-factor authentication has been going for the last few years. So when someone signs onto my account, I get a message saying, hey, you've signed in, use this code. Now that does 2 things for me. 1, secures my account, and 2, lets me know if somebody ever does guess my account details, which so far they haven't. Now, most people struggle to remember passwords. So look at a password manager. LastPass is one that I investigated when I made this presentation, and I quite like it. It's a free service that manages all your passwords. It has browser plugins for Chrome, Firefox, and Edge, and Safari, I suppose. It has Mac, Windows, and iOS apps, Android apps. It's cloud-based, so all your passwords sit in their cloud service, which is secure. LastPass make their money on security. Their details will be kept secure. And even better, they will synchronize. So if you set a password on your computer and you need to go and log into that account on your phone, if you use a LastPass app, they will synchronize. It is safe. LastPass make their money on security. So they will know when an account has been hacked, they will know when a site has been compromised, and they will tell you that your site has been compromised. The version I use is free. It's pretty easy, pretty intuitive, and when you set it up for accounts, it's pretty cool. Now, here we go. This is what LastPass does for me. Here are some of my passwords. And by the way, I don't have to remember them. Here is my Facebook password. Yeah, good luck remembering that. This is what LastPass does for me. Here's my PayPal password. There you go. And even if you log into both of those accounts, by the way, I have two-factor authentication turned on. So I use LastPass to manage my accounts. I don't remember that. Goodness gracious, no. So the way LastPass works, this is the browser plugin. You'll see you can generate passwords. It has a vault of all your accounts. It will tell you when passwords match. It will tell you when passwords have been compromised or sites have been compromised. You set up one strong master password. So here we go. This is a duplicate password, for example, a feature here. It knows that my password has been duplicated. It asked me to open a security challenge, which I did. And when I set this up, my master password is great. My security score is dreadful. Now, in the years since I set that up, I have made that LastPass standing a lot better by changing passwords as they go. And LastPass makes it really easy to help change passwords. And once you get into the thought that you no longer need to remember all these passwords, you let someone else do it, it's actually a really cool feature. So here's some features you can do. Change compromised passwords. It will tell you because it knows. Change weak passwords or reuse passwords, and change old passwords. Beautiful. So as you saw, my PayPal and Facebook passwords are pretty good now. That's how I updated them. Just check the box and say update now. It logs you in. It sets you, goes to the password change page, changes your password, logs you out again. Very cool with a kit. Don't trust me. Don't listen to what I'm saying about LastPass as a password manager. I'm not advertising for them. Look at Dashline. Look at KeyPass. PC Magazine Australia in 2018 did an article on password managers. Read that article. I'll put the link into the notes at the bottom of this presentation. Do your research, but I would suggest that you stop relying on your brain or a notebook, and you do keep your passwords in a password manager. Just remember that password managers are not supported on the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live or Steam. So if you do put your Xbox account into LastPass for it to remember, and you set a really complex password, when you go to log onto your Xbox, it's going to be a very slow process. Okay, let's do a security checkup. Now, most of us have a Google account. Let's prove it. Do you have any of these? Do you have a Gmail account? Do you have a YouTube account? Do you have a Google Drive? Do you have an Android phone? Do you have a Chromebook? Do you have a Samsung tablet or any other kind of tablet, Android tablet? Did you ever play Ingress, which is Pokemon Go before it was popular? Do you use Google SketchUp? Do you have a Google Home? Do you have birds? That's my bird being very noisy. Do you use Chrome as your browser? Do you have a Chromecast? Do you use the Google website? Congratulations, you have a Google account. So let's look at restricting the data that you share with your Google account. Why? That's a good question actually. Why bother doing this? Well, Google services are fantastic and they go out of their way to be awesome, but they don't need to know everything about you. Really, they don't. Google will use that to target advertising at you, and they will sell that. They will track you. They will track you more than any government would with any government-based app, and they will use that to build a profile about you that will probably be more accurate of your memories than you can possibly imagine. Now, young people today will probably have their entire life set inside a Google computer because no doubt your parents posted baby photos. And also when you were young, and then when you turned 13, you got your social media accounts. So this is probably already happening. Do you want that information stored inside a computer to target advertising at you? That is a question. I personally don't. And unfortunately, Google makes it really difficult, or maybe a better word to use is really granular, to go through all your data. Granular means that they'll go through every individual setting every individual time, make it quite slow for you to go through your settings. So this is a very quickly look at what you're looking for. Now, once you've logged into your Google account, go to myaccount.google.com. You obviously need to be logged in. Now, in the left-hand tab, we have your sign-in details. That includes you setting up two-factor authentication, which is good. Then you have your personal details and the stuff that you share sitting in your details account. You also have your account preferences, such as payments and subscriptions, and you have the option inside account preferences to delete your account if you really want to. Not necessarily saying you should. All right, so I'd run through all of those. So just a quick look at some of these options. For example, recently used devices. You'll see that I'm logged in at this time on 3 devices apparently, but look down below, it says +5 more. This is where my account is logged in. Let's review here, because I don't know where I'm logged in. If I don't recognize any of these devices, which thankfully I do, I can remove them. If I don't want it to be there, remove it, I'm logged out. And all of a sudden I have to log back in again. So if it's not my device anymore, so nobody else can jump in and use my account. Here's my personal information. So these are my name, email addresses, phone numbers, date of birth. Apparently I was born in 1882. There you go. Must be one of the oldest people on Google. Etc, etc, etc. And notice a few things. Shared endorsements is disabled down the bottom. Location sharing is not enabled, because I don't want that to be happening. My personal info, blah, 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 blah. Help people who have my phone number connect with me across Google services. Well, no thanks. If I've got friends, I'm happy to talk to friends face to face. You might change these settings. But if you do, that's fine. Just make sure you know what you're doing, know why you're doing it. Now, I'm not sharing any real-time services with Google. If you have an Android phone, you probably are. Now, if location services are turned on, you are giving a significant heat map, your location and your location map, including times, to a private company who will sell your information to everybody. If you don't use the services, turn them off. That's the really simple way of saying it. If you don't use it, turn it off. So here is an example of a student's account that I borrowed when I was setting this up with the student's permission. This is a heat map of where they've been, and that's only over the course of a couple of weeks. Now, I would suggest you turn this on when you go on holidays, so that you know where you've been. Fantastic for the memories. But when you're just living and working around, turn it off. It tells you what trips you've been taking. This is a map of a trip that was taken to, apparently somewhere into town, and back to the student's home again. And I've cut off the end of it so that we don't know where the student lives. But you can see it's to and from home. Turn it off. 45 places you visited based on location history. Now, that's a sensational option when you have holidays. Turn it on when you're at home and just living and working around Sydney, or at home, turn it off. Your data and personalisation. Now, here is a bunch of settings. You can make your account private and prevent Google from collecting so much about you. Do you want the web and app activities turned on? Do you want location history turned on? Do you want voice activity turned on? Do you want YouTube search? Do you really want YouTube search history turned on? It's up to you. You ask yourself a question. Do I use this service? Do I get anything out of this service? If the answer is no, you don't use it. No, you get nothing out of it. Turn it off. And there is so much more. So, some more links here. Again, I'll put these in the bottom of the presentation. Activity controls, adjust as you need to. And ask yourself the question. I'm a bit of a broken record here. Ask yourself a question. Do you use this service? No, turn it off. If the answer is yes, leave it on. That's fine. Do your privacy setup. It's slow and painful, but worth doing. Now, if you decide you don't use any of Google's services, but you've got stuff that you do want to keep, you can do the takeout. A Google takeout is where you download all your data on Google, and you'll see all the different places where they can find your data. So your Google Drive data gets downloaded, your YouTube data gets downloaded, your Google Play and books and music and photos is all downloaded. And you can then see it through the index page. It was very interesting for me to download, actually. Now, if you're an Android user, I don't have an Android phone, but here's a bunch of articles to read and make some decisions about your privacy on your phone. I will again include these links in the notes for this presentation because they're handy for you to know about to decide how much do you want to share. Now let's talk about social media for a moment. Here's a question for you. Would you let your parents read every word, view every picture that you post on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Messenger, Discord, whatever? Would you let a future employer see your social media profiles? Are you prepared to say every word, make every comment you post in any application or client to that person's face? Serious questions about social media. And if you answered no to any of these questions, you are doing social media wrong. Okay? So keep that thought in mind. Would you let your parents read what you have read or uploaded? Would you say that to a person's face? Would you let your future employers see your accounts? Just don't do it if you're being a pest. Now, a future employer is almost certainly going to try and profile you via your social media presence, via your Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Discord, whatever. So first and foremost, protect your accounts from external data collection. Review your posts and delete the embarrassing ones. Seriously. Yes, it was funny when you were 16 years old. You're now 10 years older than that. That's probably not funny anymore. And if you won't say it to a person's face, don't say it at all. All right. So let's have a think about Facebook. There are 4 parts of your Facebook profile that you cannot make private. They are your name, your profile picture, your cover image, and your location. Your network. Of these, the network is the worrying one. Why? It's really simple. Your network is probably your school, which gives away your location 205 days of the year. Now you've also included your name and probably a profile picture of you. So therefore we know what you look like, we know your name, and we know where you're going to be 205 days of the year. Think about this. If you were walking down to the train station after school and a completely random person that you've never seen before comes up and says, "Hey, your first name, how you doing?" You would probably freak out. And yet these details are fairly much public on social media. So the only antisocial bit of social networking I'm going to go with here, apart from Snapchat, is remove networks from your account. Now this doesn't mean not liking the school's Facebook page or Instagram page, that's fine. It's the network that says you belong to the school. Please remove that so that you're not giving away your personal information, name, phone number, and where you're going to be. Okay, now Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat are all social networking. Please be social and share the good times and the memories with your family. But unless you're a celebrity, secure your account from outsiders, for goodness sake. Yes, I want to be an Instagram influencer. Well, good for you. Anyway, let's have a look in Facebook. There's a whole heap to work through here. So start in the settings, and some of these settings get updated on a regular basis. So go back and have a look at them on a fairly regular basis. All right. So in your security and login, you got a chance to change your password. Use 2FA right there in the middle. Review all your logins. Authorized logins is a list of places you've logged onto your Facebook account. If you don't do this very often, there could be quite a few. So you can turn them all off if you don't recognize them. You can turn on alerts. Alerts are really useful when you get an unrecognized login. If somebody else logs onto your account without you knowing there's an unrecognized login, fantastic. Choose 3 to 5 contacts or friends as contacts if your account gets compromised. Good idea. That's a really good idea. Now, what else do we have here? You need to go through your Facebook information. Gives you an opportunity to go through and delete posts you don't want. Once again, it's very granular and so very slow. But it gives you a chance to get rid of stuff that you don't necessarily want people to see. You can download all your information. You can manage your stuff. You can delete your account if you really want to. Not that people will. Now, here's what you can go through. And this is every post, every comment, every photo, every like, every page, every friend, every single thing. And you'll see, if like me, you've had your account for a few years, that's a lot. Facebook put it there for you, but they make it difficult to use. But it's worth going through and looking at what you've posted and what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. Okay, now you can review your ad preferences while you're in here as well. Remember, these are ad preferences. These are people who will target advertising at you. They don't care about you. They don't like you. They don't want to do anything else but get your money. And so therefore go through and just make it difficult. Review all this information, turn off your interest, turn off the advertisers you've interacted with, turn off as much as you can because they're advertisers. They're not helping you. When it comes to your information, turn all of them off because this will be helping advertisers to target advertising at you. Remember, advertisers only want your money. They don't care about you. Okay, location services, you probably could have guessed by now I'm not a fan of unless you're going to use them. So turn it off. Why would you want to restrict advertising? This video, which again I will leave in the link in the notes below, talks about why you should probably turn off or restrict advertising through social media. I'm not going to play it now, but that is certainly there for you to have a look through later on. Now, thinking about your future, you will eventually have employers trying to find you. You might want to go through your timeline and tagging settings. Who can post your timelines? Friends. Who can see what others post to your timeline? Friends. That's all. You might want to look at the tagging and change it from friends to close friends, just because you want to keep your stuff a little bit private. This is not being antisocial. These are your really good friends that you see all the time, lifelong friends if you like. You certainly should turn on reviews for who tags stuff onto your profile, because that really embarrassing photo that your mates took the other night is very funny. They tag you into it straight away and there you are, haha, very funny, and all your friends can see it. You may not want that really embarrassing photo on your Facebook profile, so you can at least review it before you decide, yes, that's funny, I'll put it there, or no, maybe not. Note these settings though, please. Friends, not friends of friends. I already mentioned turning on reviewing. So why not friends of friends, I hear you ask? Well, let's say you have 500 friends. Each of them has 500 friends. That's 250,000 people. You probably don't know 249,500 people. That's nearly 3 MCGs full of people. Or Sydney Olympic Stadium. Excuse me, dog. That's nearly 3 MCGs full, or if you like, 4, I think it is, Sydney Olympic Stadiums. Full of people that you don't know. That's why you do it. That's why you do it. So I don't use the Facebook platform because I personally don't want to share all my stuff with third parties from Facebook. However, if you do, for example, you might play games online through Facebook, or you might use apps on Facebook. This again, if you see here, this person used, look here, 224 apps logged in through Facebook. Now, let's be clear here, okay? You are sharing your profile and sometimes your friends' profiles with 224, in this student's case, different companies who are not Facebook, who are not affiliated with Facebook, who are not caring about you, and who are not your friends, but you're sharing almost your entire profile. So it's really simple. Do you use these services? So looking at the top row here, do you still use Adobe Spark Video? Yes? Fine, keep using it. No? Uninstall it. Do you still play Angry Birds? Do you still play Animal Crossing? Do you still use Beats Music? If you do, fine, keep using it. If not, uninstall it. And if you do keep using it, control it. So here's the Cities I've Visited app. It wants to know your relationship status, your birthday, your work history, your status updates, your education history, your events, your groups. That's a lot of information. Does it need to know all of that? Well, probably not. But if it does, good, that's fine. If it doesn't, when there's a dark blue tick like you see in all of those, uncheck the box. That way you can control the application and what it sees of your data. So here's a short version of it. This is social media. Be social. Share your stuff with your friends and family. That's fine. That's what it's there for. Secure your accounts. Make your Instagram and Twitter account private if you use it as a sharing platform. Please. Read the terms of service, particularly for these free games or services. What are you giving to that company in return for that free service? The question you ask yourself, is it worth it? If the answer is yes, keep using it. If the answer is no, restrict it. And ultimately, you need to make an informed decision. Turn off location services in social media unless you use it. And my recommendation that I suggest to my friends who ask is turn it on when you go on holidays, turn it off when you get home. Okay, some final questions. Let's say an employer will hire you so long as you give them access to your social media accounts, either via handing over your login and password details or by a friend request. Do you have to hand over access? The answer is no, you do not. You can quietly refuse, and if you are, and that is all there is to it. That's actually shrined in consumer law. That same potential employer will tell you that without handing over your details, you will not be employed. What should you do? Well, my response to that is say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye. Now, let's talk quickly about Snapchat. I'm not a fan of Snapchat, and you'll find out why right now. So this is a copy from Snapchat's Terms of Services, and oh yes, it's very densely worded. But let's have a look at this part here. For all content you submit to the service other than public content, you grant Snap and our affiliates a worldwide royalty-free, sub-licensable and transfer license to host, store, use, display, reproduce, modify, adapt, edit, publish, and distribute that content. So what that says is Snapchat doesn't own it, but they can use it as if they do. Forever. Anywhere. Is that what you want? Let's look at the next part. In addition to granting us the rights mentioned in the previous paragraph, you also grant them a perpetual, meaning forever, license to create derivative works from, to promote, to exhibit, broadcast, syndicate, sub-license, publicly perform, and publicly display your content in any form, in any or all media or distribution methods now known or later developed, forever. Do you really want Snapchat to do that? Continuing on. Our partners, you also grant their business partners the same unrestricted worldwide perpetual right and license to use your name, your likeness, your voice, including in connection with commercial or sponsored content that you are not being paid to promote. So basically what Snapchat is saying is, yes, you'll give us all your stuff. You still own it, but we're using it to make money. Thank you very much. We're using it how we see fit, whether you like it or not. Using your name, your likeness, your voice. And that also means anybody you photograph as well. So if you take the sneaky Snapchat of all your friends doing funny stuff without their permission, Snapchat still has a license, unrestricted worldwide perpetual license to use that as they see fit. Now, if you wonder why I don't like Snapchat, that's why. That's the terms of service. Please read the terms of service. What I will do is put these links also in the notes at the bottom of this video so that you can read for yourself and make informed decisions. Right, so a couple of years ago, or last year, there was this app called FaceApp that would automatically age you. Haha, make you 10 years older or 20 years younger or whatever, to show how you'd look if you're older or younger or whatever. Now, problem with FaceApp is it's based in Russia. Its legal jurisdiction is in America, only in America. So let's have a read. Again. So we're going to use your content in all media formats and channels now known or later developed without compensation to you. When you post or otherwise share user content on or through the services, you understand that your user content and any associated information such as your username, location or profile photo will be visible to the public. Think about that. Carrying on, you grant FaceApp consent to use the user content regardless of whether it includes an individual's name, likeness, voice, or persona sufficient to indicate the user's identity. Now, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. The other thing you're doing is giving FaceApp a good quality picture of you, which they can use for any AI they choose to use it. And they're using an AI to aid you. So you're giving them a picture of you to use as they see fit, which is not necessarily a good idea. Also, FaceApp and its affiliates. Now, an affiliate is a company that buys the data from FaceApp. May transfer information that they collect, including personal information across borders and from your country or jurisdiction to other countries around the world, where the laws on data may not be as strong. So, look at the terms of service for these free apps that you use and make a decision. Do you really want to use it? Oh, it still goes on. My goodness. So you can see why. I'm not going to continue reading on from the terms of service. You can see why I find these terms of services for these free apps to be a little bit beyond worrying. Please stop using them unless you actually get something out of it. So what it all means, you're personally identifiable. So is your device, and you can be tracked. You give a high quality, well-lit image of yourself to a company that uses AI to aid you. So it's learning about you, what you look like, what you probably will look like. Your data probably will move borders to a locale that has less stringent data privacy settings. Your mugshot is going to be used to train AI bots for who knows what purposes. Is that a good thing? Probably not. This is why we wouldn't do it. Now, this is from a popularmechanics.com question. Why should I care about giving my image to a Russian company? Well, you just sent them a close-up, well-lit image of your face. Now they know your name, vital details, and can create an annotated image record of you as a human. The next model would have no problem triangulating and verifying and adding more data from other sources like LinkedIn, which would then give them a complete profile of you. So once again, think carefully. Okay, move away from social media for a second. What about your photos? Many of you may take those special selfies, let's call them. Sure, go ahead. Knock yourself out. It's your body. They're safe while they're on your phone. Is it ever appropriate to share these special photos? Well, my opinion on that is no, because once it leaves your device, you have no longer got any control over it. And let's say you share one of these special selfies with your boyfriend or girlfriend for yours or their birthday. Nice. Then you break up acrimoniously. You don't have control of that photo. That's why I'm suggesting that you may think twice about whether or not you share these images, share these videos beyond your phone or your device. Just remember that if you share one of these special selfies and you are underage with somebody, you are probably making a legal mess for them. So please be very, very, very careful what you decide to do. So, you just heard me carry on saying I'm big on privacy. So now we have this thing called the COVID Safe app, which was released 2 days ago as I record this presentation. Should I install it? Well, in short, yes, because it is protected by Australian legislation. The Australian government has written a lot of legislation about protecting that data. They're not going to use it to track you. They can't use it to track you. Your data is secure and kept in Australia, so it's not being sent overseas for someone else to deal with. Your data is mostly staying on your phone unless you've been asked to upload it, and more than likely it's going to be deleted from your phone. So yes, do it quickly. We will store all registered information, encrypted user IDs and contact data in a data store in Australia, protected. Please also note, all data will be deleted at the end of the COVID-19 pandemic as required by biosecurity determinations. One last one. Oh yeah, contact data on your device will be automatically deleted after 21 days. I just said that. And we will not disclose your information for any purpose. In other words, it's safe. Please use it. Get us out of this lockdown, for goodness sake. Move on. Let's have a look at your Microsoft account. Now, Windows 10 is awesome. It's also a big system, and it wants to be useful and it wants to be friendly. Your digital assistant Cortana is very happy to step in and do stuff with you, but Microsoft wants to make your experience more streamlined. Translation, Microsoft wants to target relevant ads at you, but it needs to learn about you first. So a few quick settings to look at for Windows and Windows 10. So privacy, Windows 10, if you click on your start button, which is the 4 little window thing in the bottom left hand corner, go to settings. These screenshots will differ slightly from OS version to OS version. You will see in your settings this page. And please note here, updates and security is where you get your updates. There's a feature update now to 1909, probably 2003 will turn up eventually. Maybe it won't, but certainly worthwhile doing the updates. The other thing to look at, all of these settings have permissions and you need to look into them. So if you look in your general privacy settings, speech, inking and typing, let's go back a little bit, where does that come from? See there, speech, inking and typing, that's what we're looking at. Do you want to use Cortana? Well, it's up to you. We will use your voice to do things like talk to Cortana or store applications. That's nice. Use your typing history and handwriting patterns. Typing history. Ooh, okay. So let's have a think about that. Cortana is a keylogger. Do you use typing history for any purpose? If the answer is no, turn it off. It's a keylogger. Diagnostics and feedback. You need to send diagnostics to Microsoft for updates. It's important that you do. Do you need to send them full? Probably not. Does Microsoft need to know the websites you browse, how you use apps and features? Probably not. Let's just move on from there. So just set it down to basic. Full feedback is quite intrusive. Inking and typing, again, turn it off. And tailored experiences is a nice way of saying so we can target advertising at you. Turn it off. Do you want to let your app ID enhance your experience? It's a tracking technology. No, turn it off. Let websites know your location. Well, I've actually had, after I took this screenshot, I turned it off. Let Windows track app launches. No, turn it off. Turn them all off. It's not necessary. Once again, some more links for you. Have a read about Microsoft's privacy policy, or Microsoft privacy. It's worth being informed and understand. So I'll put these links once again. Now, Apple is more sensible when it comes to their privacy settings, possibly. Apple is quite privacy centered, so there isn't a huge amount to do, but we still need to look at some stuff. So on a Mac, go to System Preferences. Go to Security and Privacy, which is, you'll see the house looks like a safe in the middle of the screen. You may need to unlock your computer to do it, that's fine. And decide for yourself, do I need location services turned on? Will I get any benefit from it? So let's quickly look at the weather app, for example. Does the weather app need to know my location? Well, yes, actually it does, because I want to know the weather where I am, not where it thinks I am. So make a decision for yourself. Does it need to know where I am? Okay, really simple. iCloud settings. Well, there aren't any. That's kind of cool. iOS privacy settings, and there are a lot in here because once again this device is a tracking device. So go to settings and then so go to your general settings and then privacy. You'll see is the blue icon with the hand. Location services is currently turned on. Now you need to decide if you have location services on or off. Now I leave it turned on, but I control it and ask myself, for every app that I've got, does this application need to know where I am? So the Can I Fly There app, which is about whether I can fly my drone. Yeah, it needs to know where I am. The DJI Go app, which is again for my drone. Yes, it needs to know where I am so I can use the GPS. The camera app, this one's contentious. I turn it on when I go on holidays and I turn it off when I'm at home because it will stamp my location onto every photo I take otherwise. So turn it on when you go on holidays. Does Facebook need to know where I am? No. Finding friends, find iPhone, geocaching, maps. Yes, they all need to know where I am when I'm using it. Does Opal Travel need to know RAM? Yes, it does. So you can see some of these are turned on because they actually provide a service. Most of them are turned off because the service they provide isn't worth it. Does Snapchat need to know where you are? Absolutely not. Also notice here, system services. Now in system services, they're hidden away so you can't see them. And that will mean that obviously Apple doesn't want you to mess around with these. So let's go and change some of these around. This is a recommendation. You don't need HomeKit, location-based alerts, ads, or suggestions. Now, location-based alerts you might want to leave turned on if you know what a geofence is. Otherwise, turn it off. Share my location. If you use Find My Friends, yes, leave it on. Wi-Fi networking can go away. And product improvements, uncheck all of them. Notice also significant locations. Now in significant locations, here we go, yes. It will tell you where you've been, everywhere where you've been. And it will tell you where you live, where you go to school, where you go shopping, how often you go there. It's designed to make some service of yours better. I don't know what it is. But if you don't use it, turn it off. If there's a history there, which I don't have because mine's turned off obviously, delete it. Turn it off. Okay. And down the bottom you'll see product improvements. Yeah, turn them off. Okay. Finally, let's go down to all the way down the bottom of the privacy tab and go and have a look at advertising. Oh, sorry, analytics first. Do you want to share your data? No, just no. Limiting ad tracking, absolutely, turn that on. And let's just move on now from Apple devices. Let's have a look at your browser. Install a good ad blocker. It will block ads from running on your device and stop third-party advertisers from tracking you. Ignore clickbait, for goodness sake. All these things that you see here are clickbait. Does anybody need to play this game for 1 minute and know why they're addicted? Probably not. Do I want to take a quiz to find out what cheese I am? Well, actually, sort of yes, but no, it's clickbait. It's designed to have you clicking through a lot of pages to place advertising in front of you and to place trackers in front of you. So please don't click on them. Okay, as I said, this presentation is available for people to download wherever. Best viewed as a presentation. Share it with your family and friends. Most welcome. Please go and share your privacy settings and update your privacy settings so that you can have a social experience, but also a private social experience.